very warm welcome to all the participants here today. Basically, we have I would say that special, I won't call her as a guest because she is our own alumni. So she is not at all a guest, but I would say that she is a distinguished speaker today to talk about not just about MBA program, not just for MBA aspirants, but how the trends are changing in the industry, first thing. Second thing is, how do we prepare ourselves in a data-driven world? I was just reading through the Coursera campus to, I think, career or some report, skill-based report of 2022. Almost in all the 10 disciplines, ranging from, something like, arts and humanities to social sciences. What I have seen is across all the domains, data gathering, data analysis, data science, it is gaining a huge importance, which means that even somebody who has pursued BA or BSc in non-engineering, non-computer or non-math degree in graduation, and they want to pursue MBA. So even they are expected to prepare for the next level of change when the technology has, or when the technology is encroaching across all the domains. So let me welcome Smibi, today's speaker. She's our alumni, 2018 pass out from Amrita School of Business, Cochin. She mastered in business analytics, MBA with specialization in business analytics. She's currently the governance lead at TCS, and I should always emphasize on analytics and insights unit of TCS. So I would first ask maybe, when you started your career, or maybe at a +2 level, or at least at the graduation level, did you ever think of becoming as an experienced person, or to gain expertise in business analytics? Or could you just let us know your journey from BTech aerospace engineering, because it is totally diverse, I would say, from BTech to MBA and towards business analytics?
Yeah. So first of all, good evening to all those who joined, and thank you so much, sir, for the very warm introduction. So before I answer to your question, I would take this opportunity to thank my guru, my mentor, Dr. Vivek Menon. So he's the professor with Amrita Vishwa Vidyapeetham University. So he's the one who guided me, mentored me, and brought me into this beautiful world of analytics. So thank you, sir, if you're listening to this. And coming back to the question on the journey, so it might sound surprising to many of you that I'm a BTech in aerospace and not from a programming background. And I'm an analytics professional, like you rightly said, and with the analytics and insights unit. And if I can put it very honestly, after my aerospace and BTech, I never thought that I would take MBA in business analytics. I still remember after I did my CAT score and I went for an MBA interview to get into a B school, I didn't even have an idea of what and all kind of streams that we had in MBA. I had no clue of even the word analytics at that point in time. But then after I entered my first year, I mean, towards the end of first year, there is this funny incident, not a funny incident, it's a special incident that I always cherish and remember, that, like I said, my mentor, so he was teaching about analytics. It was kind of an introduction class. And the one thing that he said about cricket, So you can predict who will win this match. So I took back it to my school days wherein I used to watch cricket with my dad, and we always have a fight as to who will win the cricket match. Okay, so that time it was just a random guess. So what made me happy and excited is, okay, you can do something to predict it, right? And with a certain amount of accuracy. And that point, that is the exact moment when I thought, this is what I wanted to do in my life, and this is what I wanted to go deep into and learn. So that is my starting of analytics. And I wouldn't say that being from an aerospace background, I have no regrets of learning that 4 years. When you get into a research kind of a mode, when you get into a research kind of a mode in when while you do MBA, the kind of learning that you knowingly or unknowingly get from coming from a BTech background will definitely be a big add-on to your entire while you do your MBA. So yeah, that's how I came into this whole domain of MBA, and I never thought I'll be an analytics professional. Yeah, to be honest.
Great, Smibi. It is interesting to learn that you started from cricket
Right.
and ended up with analytics, especially in these times where IPL is catching so much of fire. I'm so curious to understand that your engineering brain, in the 4 years of BTech, and when you put that skills and that brain into this business analytic world, you said that in fact it was of a very great advantage, right? So how is it that you think a youngster, somebody who has already passed out and maybe has some kind of industrial experience, how do you think that if I'm a BTech graduate or a BBA graduate or a BSc graduate and I want to join an MBA program, how is it that you think I should prepare, and what is it that you think I should expect?
Expect in an MBA program, right?
Exactly.
There is a common myth. I think that's I think whoever is listening to the MBA aspirants, most of them would be that category. The first thought that comes to their mind is, okay, I don't know programming. And how do I take up analytics? Will I be able to pull it off? Will I be able to excel in it? So programming being a prerequisite to understand and learn analytics is definitely a myth. And I can say that myself as a live example. And if you take suppose a class of MBA students, you can actually categorize them into two. Like you rightly said, there will be one category of MBA students who come from a bachelor's degree with non-programming background, like BBA or BSc or BCom, and even BTech graduates, I would say, without a programming background. And there will be another category of students who is like very good with programming, who are from a computer science background or a BSc. It depends on what kind of a career they want to choose. When you say data science or when you say analytics, data scientist is not the ultimate job that you get into. That's a very wrong understanding or a very wrong perception that most of us have. So I would say for the category A, like from a non-programming background, you can definitely get into very good roles like pre-sales, like a program manager or a project manager, or you can be an analytics consultant as well, wherein there is no much of a hands-on involved. However, the kind of domain expertise or the kind of analytics knowledge that one should pursue is very, very important, and it should be extremely strong, but you need not do hands-on. And for the other category who are like really good with hands-on and coming from a programming background, I think they can definitely go for a role like data scientist. They can be like a technical lead who can, lead a group of ML engineers. And they can be visualization experts, like who can work with Tableau and Power BI and all that. But one prerequisite from my perspective that I feel is very important if you need to learn and understand data science and machine learning and all of that. One is the basic of statistics. at least the base of statistics, the thing that you learn in school, at least that base of what a graph means, what is a mean, median, mode. You should have that fair understanding of what a basic statistic means, and also that logical thinking. And I think if you have these two, the rest you can build on from there. So from my perspective, if you ask me, I think these are the two prerequisites that are really, really important if you want to learn analytics. The rest you can build on top of it. It's fine. So it actually depends on the type of career that you choose and move ahead with.
So when you talk about statistics, for example, suppose somebody has completed a BA, but he's so passionate about data science or data analysis or to work with data. Okay, now do you think that it will be difficult for such students to pursue MBA?
Yeah, like I said, no. It depends on, maybe they'll have to put on extra work, I mean, extra amount of work to start and learn things from the scratch. And even if you look into, while you study analytics, people study in a different modes. Like if you ask me, if somebody throws like what is a logistic regression, and if my sir explains what logistic regression means, I go back and learn the math of it, as in how that algorithm came in and all that. A few people, they don't, but they still understand what logistic regression means. So it depends on the kind of learning pattern. And ultimate aim is to understand what it means, not just to, like mug up and leave it at it. So it depends on the interest, just that they'll have to put a little extra effort. But I think if they have that base of maths and that logic, programming is a language, it's not a logic. So if you know maths, if you're good in maths, if you know the logical flow, then it should be fine. That's what I feel.
So do you think that suppose if I am again a BTech aerospace engineer graduate, I think Vivek is also Vivek is a very good friend of mine, and Vivek is also from BTech background, I believe. So let us say if I'm doing my final year in BTech and I want to pursue MBA, and I am a non-IT graduate. So do you think that learning some programming languages or some basic mathematics or something related with data analytics will help me?
I think the only preparation that you need to do before joining an MBA program in analytics would be, maybe you can try it out, as in to start learning Python and to start learning the basics of what big data means. But it's mostly once you join, then you get a real hang of it. And if people from BTech, I think they kind of have an easy takeoff when compared to others, because they are already trained to work that way. But I don't think there are necessary preparations that you need to do before you join MBA. I think 2 years is more than enough to learn through it. I think the kind of training that we get, it's more than enough. And a preparation beforehand, if you ask me, I think it's not required.
Okay, thank you, Smibi. So I was just wondering, see, when you talk about MBA program and business analytics, of course, we all hear that the importance of data across different domains. You take life sciences, you take transportation, you take HR, you take any domain. Again, now we all have started doing the payment using mobile, and that is also huge data. You take transportation, that also huge data. So can you just give us more insights on why is it essential to have MBA more emphasized with business analytics? And I believe there are some specializations like hospital administration, MBA with hospital administration. And I am being a tech enthusiast. I also believe and I think that maybe by end of this year itself, the 5G will be rolled out. And the cloud computing, IoT, pushing data to cloud will definitely flourish. So in that context, somebody wants to join MBA this year or next year, and they are passing out in maybe in next 2 years time. So how do you think that MBA with business analytics will help them in future?
Yeah, so I'll try to answer it in two parts. One aspect of it is why it's so important for business, MBA aspirants to take up business analytics as their specialization. So when you look into few years back, business analytics, when it slowly started getting into the MBA curriculum, students, I think they saw it like a minor, or it's just a stream that like any other streams like HR and marketing and so on. But with the massive growth that we have seen over the years, and it's still an exponential scale, when organizations, when they recruit MBA grads after they pass out from their B school, analytics is something that they expect to be part of their skill set. So irrespective of whether you take it as a minor, you take it as a major, or you don't even take it, analytics is something that organizations are looking for by default. And when you say organizations, I mean the smallest to the largest. It can be a small scale organization, it can be a big organization. So with this kind of with a large scale improvement in analytics, all the organizations are moving into a business 4.0 era, and they are all in their digital transformation journey. I remember when I joined in the year 2018 in TCS, I was mapped to the pre-sales team. So pre-sales team, what we do is we respond to RFPs. So RFPs, some of you might be familiar with the term RFPs. It's called a request for proposal. To put it in a simpler way, it's like a huge document you can imagine, wherein the client organizations, they put in their challenges in detail. So when the challenges are data related and when they expect analytics as a solution, it gets redirected to the A&I pre-sales team, wherein we work on it. So we read through all these challenges, and it's not just confined to one domain. It is confined to multiple domains, like you said, starting from life sciences, HR, manufacturing, utilities, and so on. And it's not just confined to one geography per se. It's across geographies, from North America, Latin, everywhere. And we kind of respond to 15 to 20 RFPs a month on an average. So you can imagine the numbers over a year. And when you say the size, we have responded to RFPs with organizations who are like selling footwears to organizations who are building ships and planes. So that is the scale, and all the organizations, they understand, irrespective of the size or the revenue they make, they understand that data is important and they can harness big things out of it. And like earlier, it used to be like data is the new oil. Earlier, that was the thing, but now it has kind of turned into data is the new plastic. It's a lot of it, and people have the storage is no longer a problem. There is cloud everywhere. Every organization is using it. So people are after. I mean, organizations are after people who are like really good with analytics, because that is the only solution to handle it. And how do we take up value out of this? That is a big question. And MBA, doing an MBA in business analytics is like a key to enter this whole world, wherein you can put in your thinking, you can put in your creativity, you can put in your knowledge, with the ultimate aim that you should somehow take value out of it. So the future of business analytics, if you ask me, is really bright. And the students who pass out with a graduation in BA is definitely going to have ample opportunities in the market. And one thing that I have to stress this, that if you don't learn analytics now, you'll anyways have to learn it on the job. So there is no way that you can escape it. Even if you take a major in marketing or a minor in marketing, or if you skip analytics, if I say analytics, it's not just about machine learning. It's a simple, even if it's a simple analysis that you do in Excel, it requires that logical thinking. I include that also as part of analytics. If you go to any organization, no managers will use Python, right? It's the most powerful tool that they use still is Excel. So there is this funny incident that keeps happening at my home. So my husband is also an MBA graduate. So he did a major in marketing and a minor in operations. So he was one person who was so reluctant to take analytics. He had that aversion towards Excel. No, it's only for the programmers. I can't do it. It's tough. Only you have that programming skill. You do it. So that was the kind of aversion that he had towards analytics. And now he is a marketing manager in a reputed firm. And half of his work is on the field, and the other half is on Excel and Tableau. I don't work in Tableau, but he has to work in Tableau. And I keep hearing these questions. How do I automate copy paste? How do I use macros? How do I create this pivot table? Yeah. So even if you don't take up analytics, you'll have a hard time learning it on the job. And when you reach a corporate, they expect you to learn really faster. So it's your choice, as in you learn it, take the luxury of your 2-year time, learn it peacefully, or you learn it the hard way on the job. So either way, for all the organizations, analytics is the backbone, and it's not going to go anywhere. So it's your choice whether you have to be on the race.
Great, Smibi. I'll slightly digress from what we have been discussing. See, being a lead, governance lead, your profile is like governance lead,
right?
And you are expert in data analytics. And when I see that there is analytics and insights, insights is something which is very, very valuable in decision making, right? So suppose if I complete my MBA in business analytics, and I'm well versed with data analysis. Okay, how does it or how far is it influencing, or what is the influence of data analysis in making a decision? How do you make a decision with the help of data analysis? And is it like I just need to have data analytical skill to make a decision?
Right. So I'll slightly, okay, when I explain what kind of a work that I do, maybe that will answer your question, sir. So I work as a governance lead in the ANI practice team. So after my 2 years in pre-sales, I moved into the ANI practice team. So what we primarily do is to build advanced analytics products. So advanced analytics products, as in inside our team, there are multiple sub-teams. So each of this team have like a data scientist, we have a big data architect, we have a scrum master, also called as the governance lead, we have a product owner, and we'll have a technical lead and a bunch of developers who are like good with analytics. All the whole people would be good with analytics. So that kind of a team is like we have multiple teams of this of a similar, so all the key roles would be shared across teams, but then the developers would be like dedicated to each of the team, and every team would be focusing on one analytics product development. So when I say analytics product development, it's like addressing the challenge of a customer. Okay. If I say challenges, for example, I'll take one product that we developed for which we completed one MVP. So how the process, how it happens is there will be a product owner who do the ideation, and he'll be the one who gives the requirement to the development team. And when he gives a ideation of that development, we break it down into multiple features, and we convert them into MVPs as a minimum viable product. So it's not like you pitch in about an application and you develop it at one go. It doesn't happen that way. So we develop it in small chunks, and then we finally stitch it together. And everything happens in a agile fashion. So it's like continuous development and continuous deployment way. And before we go ahead with this, we have this big data architect who creates a big architecture that details the entire data flow from data ingestion till deployment. I'm not saying till visualization, saying till deployment. So that is the kind of architecture and preparation, like like in a movie we do no pre-production. So that's the kind of time that we take to finally arrive with it. And it would be like a cloud agnostic. So whenever we develop a application, we ensure that it is deployable in any cloud, and it is a kind of domain agnostic most times. So this is the pre-process that we do before we get into development. So while we do the development, we finalize on the technology stack while architecting, and it would be mostly on PySpark and all that. And right after the testing phases, the normal testing phases that we have, like the regression testing or the user acceptance testing and all that, something that we like take time and do is performance testing. So while we do the development, we just restrict ourselves to like normal CSV files with like 15,000 customer records and so. But when it comes to performance testing, we slowly increase our the amount of data that we do. Like it's like first 2.5 million, and then we slowly make it to 1.5, and then to 2 million, and so on. So as why we test is that each time we test, we'll have to do some optimization in the code just to ensure that it meets the SLA of the industry standards. So this is the entire process that we do in our team. And coming to the use cases, like you asked, we are again not restricted to one domain. We work on in multiple domains. So one of the products that we developed is for the BFSI domain. It's like a recommendation engine for the sales representatives. And so when you consider a normal banking sector, and you can imagine there will be a sales team, there will be a marketing team, and there will be a number of products that are associated with the bank. And the banks, they already have a lot of customer base with a lot of customer data. So imagine the marketing team, they go do the marketing campaigns, they get the whole customer data, they give it to the sales team. So in a normal scenario, what happens is the sales representatives, they call up each of these customers one by one. So multiple outcomes can happen. Either they accept the product, they'll not accept the product, or maybe they'll be angry and they'll hang the phone. So anything can happen. So all the costs that you invested in your marketing initiatives, you do not know whether it got converted or not got converted, or how to make it better. That's the confusion that almost all the banking sectors have. So it's a pain point, right? If we do not know how our money is going to get converted, it's definitely a pain point. So, and the solution is definitely analytics. So to address this pain point, we developed a recommendation engine that is based on a product propensity score calculation, wherein for each of the customers, the engine will predict which are the top 3 products that a sales representative should pitch to the customer. And if you can imagine it like an application, there is an application and I'm the sales representative, I log in, and then I see a list of customers, or maybe I can put in their customer ID. I call them up. I can see that these are the top 3 products that you need to recommend. Maybe if I take another customer ID, it would be another 3 products, right? So I call them up. Again, there are chances that it can lead to conversion, it cannot lead to conversion, or maybe they might hang up the call. So one advantage is that for every recommendation engine, or for every analytics model that we develop, we ensure that a feedback loop mechanism is also, a module called a feedback loop mechanism is also like integrated into the whole system, so that we do not leave the machine learning model to, like, we do not blindly trust the machine learning model. So as soon as you call up that customer, and if they deny that product, or if it doesn't get converted, then we enter that feedback, whether it's a positive, was it negative, and then you make the model to retrain it, so that, okay, you predicted it wrong. You are saying to the model that you predicted it wrong. Next time you should make it better. So not just model development, it's all about model monitoring, model performance optimization. A lot of things culminate into creating and trying to mitigate, I wouldn't say mitigate, trying to mitigate a customer problem? Yes.
It was quite a long answer, but
Right.
with
Sorry.
detailed. No, what I'm saying is, when you say that there are sub teams, that is what I was focusing on. There are sub teams.
Right.
It also means that any graduate who wants to work in the industry, they should have the overall picture of where they are working, what they are working, and they must essentially have the team management skills. Now, will you just throw some light on the trends in analytics? It is not just the latest one that will emerge in future. When we hear again about the rolling out of 5G, IoT, wearable devices, whether it is a life science domain or healthcare, etc.
Yeah, if I can say the current trends, when you look into when you read through the magazines, or if you are a person who is following analytics, then you can see there are a lot of small companies that are emerging, like the Data Robot or Data IQ, wherein the whole of the machine learning life cycle, they have like automated it, as in it's called as a self-service AI, what you say. And what it the main aim of such applications or such companies is that people who do not have a background of analytics or per se programming, it would be an easy clickable interface wherein anybody can load the data, click, and it helps in creating a model. So it's like complex analytics without a complex degree. So that is one trend that's kind of emerging on the go. But there is, again, a fight between explainable AI and non-explainable AI and all that. But self-service AI is something that is on the trend right now. And second thing, what I can say is the unstructured data, the kind of growth of unstructured data. I've not really worked with unstructured data in my career till now. I might maybe in future, but as of now I haven't. So I think the kind of unstructured data that's there, it's on an exponential growth, I would say, and there is very less people who are skilled in that. Not many people try and brush up their skills on handling unstructured data. So that is something that the emerging MBA aspirants can actually tap on. And another trend I would say is HR analytics. So that happened. So when you look into analytics, HR analytics was something on the bottom. It was mostly sales analytics and supply chain analytics that was on the high, and marketing analytics and all that was on the top. But with pandemic and during pandemic and even now, with the great resignation that's happening around, the organizations, they are like really finding it difficult to retain the employees. So somehow they want to understand why they are leaving, because though we are not even seeing each other, it's all virtual. So there is some way, if they can root and try to understand what the employees are actually looking for, that is on the rise now. And a recent study, it's interesting, and I feel it's relevant as well, that has come out with a result that the employees, so every organization, if you take, there will be a learning portal, right? Like every organization has a learning portal. So the employees who are not that active in that learning portal are most likely to resign. So that was the conclusion of that study. So I think HR analytics is something that is on the rise. And another thing is that, like I said in the starting, when you hear data science, the first thing that comes to your mind is data scientist. But that was valid, I think, till last year. Now, if you look into data science with the kind of automation and all of that, and even that I've experienced in my current project after I joined here, that when we recruit people, like we always want developers who are like experts in Python and PySpark into our team. So when we call them up, they are almost well versed with the analytics concepts, but they do not know. They know only till the Excel sheet point, but there is a huge work before that. So if you take any organization, they'll not store data in CSV files or Excel sheets. But they get that thinking that, okay, everything would be available in CSV and Excel sheet, so they can just put in and do machine learning, but that doesn't happen. So organizations, they have data in their databases, will have to create that whole data ingestion pipeline to extract data and then pre-process it, make joins. For that, you'll have to be good with SQLs. You should know what an ETL means. You should have good knowledge of databases. So there is a big data engineering scope and data engineering work that happens before we actually get into machine learning. So I think that kind of a skill is what we are looking for. Even in our team, if we do not have a data scientist, we'll somehow survive. But if we do not have a big data architect, it's a big trouble. So that's why the data scientist is now getting slowly replaced by analytics engineers. So if you're good with analytics, if you're good with data engineering, you're the best. So I think that trend is slowly coming up. Yeah.
It's interesting to know, because I have taught for almost like 15 years, especially computer science programming. I was just thinking, we keep posting so many things in Facebook or in any social media. And when we talk about this unstructured data and data engineering, is there any platform currently on place where it can bring in structured data and unstructured data and correlate with each other and bring out some kind of meaningful results? Is there a platform like that?
Yeah, I think we have one in TCS. I do not know if I can reveal the name. So we have one in TCS, wherein they have already pre-built models kind. And also this when we did this BFSI domain in one of the dashboards that recommendation engine, we used to get a Twitter sentiment insight and do the analysis. So that is like a small textual part of it, but then it was inculcated along with all the structured data. Yeah, that is possible, but to the higher level, I'm not sure, but to the smaller levels, I think we are already doing it within the firm.
Okay, so you are still saying that even if I am not into coding or I don't know much about programming, but mastering Excel is very much important for a business analyst, right? And
Right.
that is essential, and that you will learn through the program. Is it like that?
Not like that. So if you get into an MBA program, something that I think few of the things that you should be really doing is that one thing, you should be very strong with your basics. So as analytics professionals, what is expected from you is to have a clear understanding of what a data science means, all the concepts starting from the different kinds of data to machine learning life cycles to higher end terms like deep learning and image recognition, all of that. So you should be very clear with your basics. That is the first thing. And second thing, why I'm emphasizing is to update your skill set on Excel and PowerPoint is, when you are an MBA graduate, so you are not really expected to code. Okay, you are doing a master's in business administration, so they see you like a managerial position. So once you enter into the corporate, just knowing to enter the data and doing a filter is not what qualifies you to be skilled in Excel. That expectation is so much higher from you. So you should know about pivot tables. You should know about, if I say pivot tables, it should be like you should know about pivot tables, and you should be able to write macros. You should be able to create even a dashboard in Excel. So that kind of a skill set is definitely an expectation from an analytics professional. And another thing that I would emphasize is you should be skilled with your PowerPoint presentations. So it might sound silly, but it's very important. So you may be very good with your basics. You may be an expert in data science. You might do excellent machine learning. But if you're not able to put it in a story, and if you're not able to convince the audience or convince your manager, or if you're not able to convince your customer that, see, I have a product and I'm sure that you'll be it can solve your problem, please buy that. If you cannot convey that message in a proper PowerPoint presentation, if you do not have that creativity and professionalism into the PowerPoint, you'll definitely fail. I can say that, because one of the favorite subjects that I learned in that 2-year program, of all the analytics subjects, my favorite was storytelling with data. It's a skill. It's a beautiful skill that that everybody should master on. So even if you're a little down with your basics, if you can tell a beautiful story with what you did with your data, it goes a long way. And I think PowerPoint is the most powerful tool for that, which all the organizations are still using, and they'll forever use it. So Excel and PowerPoint, you should master it. No compromise on that. And one more thing is that all the students out there, when you do your MBA program, should do is to build on your resume. So it's not like at the end of 2 year, you run and then you put in your resume a lot of things and then you go in front of the recruiter. It should not work that way. So whenever you start building your resume, there are multiple ways to do it. One is that you should definitely focus on the certifications. So certifications, if I say, it can be of two ways. Either it can be like a education led, as in like Coursera or Udemy or edX. There is another certification which is external, which is given by the vendor, like Microsoft. We have AWS, Microsoft Certified Data Analyst. It's costly, I agree, but the value that it gives is extremely more. But as students, I think recruiters are okay with the Coursera part, but that is something that you should definitely focus on. And another thing is the competitions that happen. You might have seen the Kaggle and Analytics Vidya, the kind of competitions they host. So if you participate in them, I think it gives that a simulation of the actual real life problems. Yeah, so this is, I think, what you should do in your 2-year MBA program.
I think you rightly stopped where I wanted to ask you about the awards you have received in short span of time. I will just, I thought of reading, but I have a different question for you. Right. So you have Best Paper Award titled Modeling Compensation of Data Science Professionals in BRIC Nations, Newbie Scholar Award, 5 months after joining TCS. Innovation Pride Award for winning second prize for analytics and insights in Hackathon. White paper on nonsense theory and sense meter. Then Special Achievement Award for winning Ideathon floated by Tata Chroma team. Then Innovation Pride Award for winning second prize for the Kochi Thinkathon. I have a totally different question for you, Smibi. What I wanted to understand is, of course, these are definitely some great achievements in your life, not just in life but also in career. I don't want to understand more about the awards, but I want to understand what is it that motivated you to try for this, because it is not just the technical skill you have. It is not just about what you have learned, but what is the motivation you had in mind to try out all this. You rightly pointed the competitions.
Right. So when any I love being dynamic. Okay, I'll be very honest. I loved pre-sales team because I used to listen to different customer problems. So I like my work to be very dynamic. Every day I feel it should be new. So competitions are something that I do to keep me motivated, to keep me innovative. And it's somehow it's not about winning. I'll definitely say that it's not about winning. It's the process that you go through. So suppose there is a competition that comes up, you may not even know about that concept. The only thing that I applied across all the competitions was analytics, because that's the only thing I know. And I do not know what if other people know about it, but the only thing that I applied on all of it was analytics. So even starting from everything. So that was something that I consciously or unconsciously took it when I entered into the job. And it gives you the sense of visibility. The kind of visibility that you get is humongous. So when I won the first award, it was the visualization, that Dackathon award. That was the first award that I won in TCS. So there is a story behind it. So I actually didn't think that I'm like capable for winning it, or I'll be able to pull it off. But people who were around me, they knew that I love analytics. Okay, so there were two seniors, and they were planning to compete in this, and they wanted a third team member. So I was this like new joinee sitting there and making PowerPoint presentations. That was my initial job. And then they come out and they asked me, I was so interested to see the problem. Okay, I started telling solutions and all that, and we finally made it up into a big PPT, and we won. Okay, so that time I was a part of the data services team, wherein we do more of data engineering. And there is another branch within this ANI, which is called as the business analytics team. They also competed, but we won. So actually it should have been the other way around, but being from the business analytics team, they lost, and we from the data engineering team, we won. So that was so exciting for our head. Okay, so that time it was Dinanath Kholkar. So he was so happy to see that people from data services team have won the award, and we got a proper resignations and like personalized email from the head. So that was my first experience. So that gives you a kick, right? To do more and to win more. And then it started from there. So I've not left any competitions after that. So yeah, it's a great teamwork also. And in my team, I was the youngest. I'm still the youngest. So I've always been the youngest in wherever team I go. So it's kind of the knowledge that you get when you interact with your superiors while doing these competitions is humongous. So that's my motivation. Yes.
So it's quite interesting. I want to understand whether you had the fear of failure at any point of time.
Actually, no, because I think from childhood and even now, something, even when I attend interviews, if I don't know something, I have no problem in saying that I don't know something. Sir, I don't know. I think that's okay. And failure, not really. Maybe you feel a little disappointed somewhere. It lasts for 1 or 2 hours. There are competitions wherein I've participated, I failed. I'm not saying I've won in all of it. There are times wherein I failed, but the kind of effort that you put in, right, to create that, it's a long process. You'll have to brainstorm, you'll have to ideate, you have to create that PPT, you have to present it to the judges. It's a long process, but every time we do it, that might that process or that effort that you put in, it might be helpful in some other innovation, when you participate in some other innovation, or when you it has always helped me in some other situation, though it has not been fruitful here. It has somewhere been like an input to some other thing and has helped me out. So I'm okay with failing, sir. It's always a lesson. It's okay.
That's great, because see, nowadays there's a huge competition, right? In the corporate
Right.
world, if you go to business environment, there's a huge competition. You take marketing or sales or HR. So I just wanted to understand what motivates you, and the that's a real good answer that you gave from your own experience, that we accept what we don't know.
Right.
And do you have any advice to the MBA aspirants as such?
Yeah, just to keep in mind all the points that I said, that be strong with your basics, have a good thought about what career you want to go ahead with, be updated, stay relevant with what's happening around the world of analytics, build on your resume. So these are the things, these are the differentiators that you can give when somebody recruits you. Like in a class, there'll be 20 MBA students or 30 MBA students who all have done MBA in business analytics. When you go to when you go in and sit in front of a recruiter, it's not just you are compared with this 20. There will be 200 people outside who pass out in the same year. So it's important that right from day one, you should think about how do you differentiate yourself, and you do not have to compare yourself with others. You can just go on the similar path. Keep in mind, okay, I need to upgrade, I need to do this, and I need to just have a proper plan and be very good at what you put in the resume. This is something that my teachers taught, that if you don't know something, don't put it in the PowerPoint. They'll definitely catch you. Right. So that is something that you should be very careful about. And another thing is that every opportunity that you get, even during MBA, even if it's to be a class leader, or even if it's to be a symposium president, or be it anything, uh, you can fail, it's okay, but go for it. I mean, do not leave the opportunity, just grab it and put in your 100%. The rest will follow. If it's not for you, let it be not for you. But the process and the kind of training that you have, that you go through, that will definitely help you at some point in time. So never leave the opportunities untouched. Yeah, so that's the most important thing.
Great, Smibi. I will just wrap up with the final question. What is it that the value addition you got from Amrita?
Lots, I would say, a lot and lot. I started off with that gratitude. So I think if you ask even to my parents, maybe before MBA and after MBA, they'd say it's a huge difference. So after BTech, I was like a normal kid who doesn't know what is happening around the world, who just know what aerospace is, nothing else. So, but when you get into MBA, even when you go to the store, even when you walk out, everything around you will sound like a purpose. As in, I remember when I was in the marketing class, one of our teachers, she told me, why do you think there are no windows in a shopping mall? Right? Why there is no watch in a shopping mall? There is no clock in a shopping mall. So everything started making sense and making purpose, and the kind of maturity that I had before and I had after MBA is to another level. So that is one thing. And the second thing is that it's like a simulator to the corporate world. I can say that. So the kind of training that you go through, like Saturday class, Sunday class. So initially it was a little, oh my God, what's happening? But then later on, you get used to it. And since you get used to it, when you enter into the corporate world, there will be pressure. It depends on how you handle it, but you'll not have that kind of a serious impact on you because you're trained to handle it. And that was the second thing. And the third thing is that while in BTech, marks mattered. Like if you have to score higher in your grade, and that is your percentage of how much knowledge you have, or that is what qualifies you to be an engineer. But it's very different in MBA. You'll never get direct questions. It's all application based questions that I've always seen in any of the question papers that I've written in Amrita. So it's because they emphasize on understanding and not just mugging up things. So that is the fourth thing that I learned. And most importantly, I remember the first day when my HR, the ma'am who taught me HR, she handed over the mic to me and she asked me to tell something. I was stammering. I mean, I didn't know what to do. I had that much of a stage fear. But then after that 2 years of MBA program, you'll forget what a stage fear means. You'll never have that kind of a fear to face the audience, or you'll have that self-confidence to like present what you know. All that I got from MBA. And the fifth thing, it's a life lesson. I used to say this to everyone, but like you cannot fight with your classmates in MBA. Okay, I'll tell you why. I'll tell you seriously why. If you fight with any of your classmates in MBA, the next moment you'll be grouped with them. or then another moment in another class you'll be grouped with another person. So that taught me to maintain that cordial kind of a relationship with everybody, and that has actually helped me in my corporate world. You cannot get close to people, but you cannot go away from people as well. So you have to make them work, you'll have to work along with them, so that kind of a teamwork, right? So that is life lesson that MBA has taught me. So all this I owe to MBA and Amrita. Yes.
I have a $1,000,000 question for you, since you
Yeah.
said all these experiences and what the learnings. Suppose if I think TCS or TCS CEO is Rajesh Gopinath, right?
Right.
So you are offered a CEO job. What will you do?
I'll take it up. Why not?
And what will be your top priority after assuming the office?
Yeah, one thing that even my managers, my TCS colleagues, and everybody has taught me is to be empathetic. Is to lead with empathy. So if you, I was a COVID manager. I turned manager during the COVID times, and my whole team was a lockdown team. And we had people from all over the locations. Like we had from Delhi, we had from Bombay, because you need not need office, right? It's all virtual. Something that I think every managers in this COVID time is to lead with empathy. If you are empathetic, if you put your employees or your team members above you, be empathetic, listen to them. I think I am somebody who lead with empathy, and my manager is so. And that's the same thing that I learned from TCS as well as from Amrita. So there is no point in putting unnecessary pressure on people. If they are happy, they'll definitely work for you. I would be one of them for sure.
And that is what something you'll be able to balance between the career and life, right?
Right. I always strike a balance. If you ask me, I've always had a work-life balance, even though I had to invest more time in competitions. It's an added work. It's something that you're doing apart from your daily job. I've always had a balance. I kind of, it's not about work-life balance. I always say it as managing and prioritizing. So the kind of importance that I go for going and watching a Mohanlal movie, and the kind of importance that I go and do for completing a delivery, it's kind of the same. But I manage it somehow. It's not like I'm giving more importance to this and less importance to life.
So you
But
are
I
even
somehow,
able to analyze between a Mohanlal movie.
yeah, right. So I somehow, I don't know how I got it, but I enjoy everything. It's not like I've sacrificed a lot in life to do what I do. I enjoy whatever I do. I mean, even if I put a lot of effort, there are days wherein I get pressurized. There are days wherein I have to do a lot of work. But the end of the day, I love that satisfaction that I get after it. So I balance it. I have a perfect work-life balance, if you ask me.
Great, because that is the most important aspect in life, because balancing between the work and life, and that is what most of the people are struggling about also,
Right.
to find happiness and satisfaction in what they do, irrespective of whether it has been successful or not, and how much they learn from that. So let me conclude. Thank you so much for spending this much of time, especially for the youngsters, for the MBA aspirants. And of course, I should also thank Vivek. I am sure that he's watching this because he has been texting me about this. And thank you so much, Maybe. Maybe we will have one more round of discussion,
Right.
probably next month. We will come up with the topic which is relevant to the industry as well as for the future MBA aspirants. Thank you so much, Mita. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks. And thanks to all the participants for listening to me. And if you have any doubts or anything you want to talk to, just feel free to ping me in LinkedIn. I'll be there to help you out. Thanks. Thank you.